Okay, we got another episode. I always say that these are good ones, but this is also a very good one because there's a lot of stuff going on.
We have good guests.
Yeah, problem. It's not our problem that we have good guests.
Somebody asked me, "How do you get all these people?" I was like, the story
just ask. It's amazing.
No, it's a little bit harder than that.
It's called being in this community for so many freaking years and working here.
Having a good reputation, what matters.
It does matter.
But let me continue with my presentation of our guest, brother.
Yeah.
So we have, we always have mayors, and we always like to bring these mayors down so they can talk about their areas. This is a special mayor because I think there's a lot going on in his city, and and Javi's, I think one of the first Hispanic mayors of South Miami. So with that, I introduce our mayor, Javier Fernandez from South Miami. Welcome, Mayor.
Thank you.
All right.
Happy to be here. Yeah, no, I think I'm the second Hispanic mayor.
Second? Okay, well, my bad.
Yeah, Julio Rovina.
Oh, that's right.
Was the first
But
Hispanic
what? I
mayor.
always remember Julio. I don't know why. As
a state rep, probably.
State rep.
Oh, yeah, he did a great job there too.
He did. Oh yeah, shout out to Julio. You're so right. I stand corrected. I stand corrected. So welcome, Mayor.
Thank you.
Go ahead with your...
So, Mr. Mayor, we've had a couple of episodes where we discussed the South Miami area, and
the biggest question is...
The biggest question.
There's a lot of questions. Place. Is that we're gonna
believe it or not, like...
I never get asked about that. I don't know. First time. Yeah.
I don't think that's the biggest question, though. I don't think it can correlate into that.
Okay. Yeah.
But we had a recent episode that we discussed South Miami, and we had, Jeff from Apocalypse?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He made a comment that was interesting to me, and I have the comment right here. You guys think we don't ask these questions?
There you go. Look at that.
I can ask the question. I'm gonna just explain it a little bit to you.
There's the moments that he comes out like,
you can
research. There's research. Here you go.
No, I mean, because
mine come from the mind. Don't worry about it.
I think it's not that. It's that we tell people that we ask questions that they ask.
But it's the truth.
So this is the
100%.
proof that people believe us.
Okay. Yes.
So whatever.
Show it on camera.
South Miami is in a position it's in because its former government leaders Bob Welsh and Philip Stoddard ran the city into the ground. They had zero interest in supporting development, business, etc. He says that if we can start by creating some government grants to up-and-coming businesses, I guess similar to like the DDA, what they're doing that he discussed yesterday, would be something that would help the local community. That it's been known for a place where money comes to die, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But if you can, I guess, structure the area where you're going to put and incorporate businesses that people actually want to come visit instead of like the typical corporate businesses, I guess that's like more of like the angle we're trying to get at there.
Okay. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But before you answer that, let me say something about that comment because I live in the South Miami area, and whoever wrote that comment is okay.
It's Jeff from Apocalypse.
Well, but Jeff.
By the way, I don't know why he decided to open up in West Kendall because I wanted him to open South Miami.
Yeah. But anyway, there is something.
By the way, if he's listening,
he is.
There's a perfect spot. Just call me. My number's on my cell phone number on his website.
It's true.
I would love to. I talked to Steve Marin. I'd love to have you.
Yeah.
Love to have you in South Miami.
But these are the things that I want to always clarify. He's right in a certain point. I don't know so much about those people, whatever, because when I moved into South, I came from horse country to the South Miami area. But that is why he's there now, and that whole change is coming up because a lot of people thought always of South Miami as just a very, subdued, tranquil area. But I think that it's very important for people to understand that was the old South Miami, and this is the new South Miami now with other vision, in respect to the people that they mentioned there.
Yeah, look, we're a tiny community, but we are a community.
How big is it? Just curious.
It's less than 15,000 people.
Wow, I thought it was
so
more.
2 square miles. Yeah. We'll grow a little bit here in the next decade, but we can punch way above our weight class because of our geography. I mean, think about a city that is blessed with 2 major employers, University of Miami on the east, Baptist Health Systems on the west, including their corporate headquarters on the southern part of the Gables. We've got a regional connection to transit, which very few cities in South Dade have. I mean, hard rail that puts you 11 minutes from everywhere in the region. And we've got a historic scale Main Street that we're fighting very hard to preserve as the rest of the town goes on. So that combination of characteristics, there are very few cities that share. And if I did not appreciate, frankly, the opportunity. And so I got invited by a former client to come to New York and kind of pitch the city to the development community there. And, the most impactful slide that I showed about South Miami was basically one about the demographic makeup around us. And our little city is basically the hole in the donut. We're surrounded by extraordinary wealth, Gables by the Sea, Cocoa Plum, Pines Davis, a bunch of other communities, unincorporated and incorporated. And so we've got to think of ourselves not just as our town centers, not just the town center for South Miami, but for that region of South Dade. And so we as a commission, I'm very blessed to work with people that get along, that are respectful, that work together, kind of share a common vision for what our town center should be, and that we want to transform it. We want to bring people to it. We want to support local businesses, and we want to keep our neighborhoods exactly the way they are. And we want to kind of have the best amenity set between that. I live 10 blocks from downtown Somi, and, I want to have the best shops, restaurants, and options because, I always envision my daughter. Our daughters are both 17, rising seniors. I always envision wanting them to go out and hang out 10 blocks from my house.
In the area.
Right?
I used to go out.
Instead, I'm dragging her to the Grove. I'm dragging her to Merrick Park, even the Falls, which drives me crazy, right? All these places in the minds of our kids are more attractive than my little town. And that doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
And so, he's 100% right. We do not have a vehicle right now for making those kinds of investments. So what we've been doing is rather than approach the local businesses with another tax through a bid, because that's exactly, they basically taxing themselves to be doing. What we've been doing is trying to invest resources to highlight them and raise their profile up, right? We can't wait. People always ask me about Sunset Place. I can't wait for Sunset Place to happen. I've got to start creating success today with the businesses that are there and supporting them. So what have we tried to do? One is we've tried to make the climate a little bit less hospitable than it has historically. We've had, South Miami's reputation for many things. We want to be more predictable, generally. No disrespect to my prior colleagues on the dais, but I think the dais was a little bit more volatile. And so I think today people, understand that when they come to deal with us, they know they're dealing with a government that's a bit more level-headed and predictable in terms of what the outcomes can be, both for residents and for investors. That's very important. And so, one thing we've done is tax the downtown through very aggressive parking enforcement. And I'm lucky now that Commissioner Rodriguez is on the board as well and kind of shares that perspective. So we've been ratcheting down enforcement. There's no reason to ticket people after midnight.
But you know what? Not for nothing.
Yeah.
That was something that was repetitive in the comments about the county in general.
Yeah.
Everyone was complaining. People were saying downtown the route, you're charging for parking. You're charging for parking. You're charging for parking. When it came to South Miami, a lot of people said, listen, I would come outside 2 minutes, 10 minutes after, ticket.
Brother, I would have campaign events, and there's no one on the street. No one on the street. And you walk out and you got a $36 ticket, and you're like, what? It's like
but you're talking about, you're not talking
South
about
Miami.
right?
South Miami.
You're not talking about after 12. You're talking before.
In general.
In general.
Before.
Our philosophy, look, we're
Correct.
hooked. We were hooked as a city. We still are.
But people were saying, like, do they even want us here? Like,
That's exactly. So the worst tax is us driving people away from the district, right?
So you're cleaning that up.
So we're trying to clean it up now. It's going to be a process of years because we get,
They're trying to modify it.
We get $3 million of revenue from 350 parking spaces, roughly.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a lot of money from a small inventory of parking. Yeah. A lot of $800,000 of that is ticket enforcement revenue. So we need to wean ourselves off of that. We are. So we've been ratcheting back the hours. This budget will ratchet it back further, right? And what we want to do is we want to enforce when there's demand, right? So when you want spaces to turn over, you enforce.
Right.
When there's no at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday, there's no one in the district, and someone stays over and has an extra beer, don't make them pay for parking.
Yeah.
Right? Make it, it's open anyways. Yeah. So, you don't need to you don't need to monetize every aspect of your city because you do it at the cost of the business owners, right? And so we're very focused on that, getting people into the district through transit, some alternate means. Folks like him can now ride into our town center for free on Via during extended hours. We're trying to reduce the friction while we grow because we want to have more construction. Yeah. And all that brings disruption. But if we reduce the friction, we make it a little bit more hospitable for people to come here, we hope that the businesses will have success as a result. And there's a lot more we're doing when we talk about it shortly.
Well, listen, back to that point, I think that one of the biggest reasons why, and this is from a lot of realtor friends of mine, a lot of people, and I don't want to diss other areas, but there's a lot of people leaving those areas wanting to come to South Miami. There's a lot of people looking for either property or land in South Miami because of what you just said, the accessibility that South Miami has. You have every artery, I live around the area. For me to get out, I get here in 10 minutes. I leave my house, I get on the Palmetto.
Yep.
My son now is in Columbus, so I just get out there, Sunset, get on the Palmetto. I mean, the accessibility that South Miami has, and to your point, I think that there's things that are being done in order to make that even more attractive.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that I have, and I don't have the phone with the complaints. This is just me walking around the area, how I walk every morning, my 2 and 3 miles
Speed bumps.
with my area. Well, there's areas that people do like a little bit of fact because there's a lot of cutting.
There's a lot of cut-through traffic.
Listen,
That's the
a
biggest,
lot of people. Yes,
the number one
say it.
issue you hear about
Yeah.
when you knock on doors.
It's everybody
Wow,
cutting.
yeah, I know you. Yeah.
Everybody
And
cuts
then it was Sunset Place. Believe it or
Yes.
not. Yeah.
And it's the cutting around the streets. And let me tell you something right now, not because you're here, shout out to the South Miami Police Department in that area because, brother, I tell you, those people are good.
No.
I know people are going to go comment now. They're going to hate me. But, those people stop me for anything. Well, don't come by the area. At the end, I say, don't come down the streets because, it tells you the sign. No left from this time to that time. Brother, if you're in South Miami.
I got one of those tickets.
If you're in South Miami and you think, no dissing to Dade County, but, you go through all the other areas of Dade County and you see that no left. People do it anyway. There's no cops. South Miami, I guarantee you, out of the week, 2 or 3 times a week, you're going to get busted.
Yeah.
Look, it's
You're going to get busted.
I made a left coming out of the, your Ross, it used to be Ross Sushi there.
Yeah.
I made that left there.
Yeah.
And there was nobody in the street.
Yeah.
I passed US 1, and they wait for you and Max Cycle.
No nonsense.
And they say, hey,
yeah, we busted.
pull over.
Yeah.
Pull over.
I know some people hate that, and they say, damn.
I was like 17.
But that's the only way you really can control.
Listen, I'd rather be known for that
Yeah.
than for the ticketing issue. Right?
Yes.
Right? Because
that's what I'm saying.
One is about safety and
100%.
quality of one's about safety and quality of life. The other one is just a punitive tax on business. So
Listen, I say it because of this. There's a lot of places in South Miami that don't have sidewalks.
no, that is true, and and we want it that way. So
I love it.
the speed enforcement is very
Speed
important.
enforcement.
Yeah.
You walk down my block, and I'm between South Miami and unincorporated county, but still, you walk down my block or other blocks, and you see everybody walking them, which is beautiful. You see people walk in the morning. You see people walking their dogs. People doing walking their babies. And some of these people are, listen, the times. So, this is a funny one because, Denise doesn't like to walk with me in the morning because tú te la pasas fajado con todo el mundo because I start walking, boom, and I go, asshole, or whatever. Some people stop. They'll blow me the
start walking
finger.
with you, bro. You can't be getting run over on us.
I mean, it's he knows the whole True Life crew that I walk with in the
Don't
morning.
kill the
anyway.
franchise too early, okay?
We walk every morning. Where I try to control that, but como no hay sidewalks. But again, those are the areas why people like the South Miami, situation.
But
Now,
I've heard that Manny has a natural deterrent for the cars where he puts out
It's the
the
Peacocks.
bread and peacocks
The
in the
Peacocks.
middle of the streets.
yeah, as soon as everybody wants to pass any quick, I just
Apparently-
call them.
I should suggest that to the people because people, that's one good use for peacocks. That's
Everybody
another.
else wants to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Famously, Caballo hates the whole
Yeah.
peacock, and he has a crusade against the peacock.
I've seen his episode. They're impossible to kill. So,
So what are your opinions of him doing a peacockadillo food truck?
He wants picadillo. Yeah, that's a great one.
Is it illegal to
He can't take the ones from my area.
Listen. No comment. Okay, 'cause I will tell you it's a 50-50 issue. 50 people
There's
love
some
them,
people that hate them.
and 50% hate
I
them.
think they're nice. I think they're pretty.
They just create a lot of damage.
They do create
a lot of
damage.
poop, a lot of damage to cars with chrome.
Yeah.
It's the only roof damage I've had
It's
It's
the
from
peacock.
peacocks?
is because peacock.
What kind of roof damage do they do?
They crack the ceramic tiles. Yeah. They
And
got
if
'em.
not,
How much does a peacock weigh?
It's not their ways. It's that they like so they land. And
and if not at 5:30, I mean, in the pines that I have right across, those people, right?
they're
the
having
sounding.
they're having a good time. Yeah.
No,
They're
and
having a good time.
when it's mating season,
forget it. Yeah.
cuidado, because
Damn.
they're screaming. They scream from 57 to 67.
So for any resident that's watching, if you're having a peacock problem,
Call us.
We do have a program to have them pick them up.
to know.
Oh, they vasectomy, no?
Unlike Pinecrest, we do not sterilize them.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
We just relocate them to a sanctuary. So we have a contractor who takes them out, and
That's
they will
awesome.
pick
I
it up
did
in
not
the
know
right of
that.
way. So that is available to you as a service. We did not follow Pinecrest's
sterilized.
program and sterilize.
Right.
it.
Galado told us that.
yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
No, but this is good.
That's excellent.
Yeah,
I had no
you
idea.
know,
good.
it's trying to be a little bit,
Good.
don't
Yeah.
want to go that far.
Well, maybe that becomes the picadillo for Caballo over there with that fact. So, all right. So, Javi,
By the way, some chickens on the exit on Sunset.
No, please.
Sunset and Pub. I don't know. I've called a bunch of times to get them cleaned up. But yeah,
in the old days,
if you're hungry, Caballo,
in the old days,
some good honey in there.
In the old days, I'm going to throw this one at you.
Yeah.
It was the 80s or the 90s.
Yeah.
That was somebody did a santeria. Somebody did something what they called the santeria, and they would throw all the chickens and stuff like that. You get down right there in Sunset, and you have the whole thing. You have all the roosters.
You'll never go hungry in that corner.
No, you never. I think people should go pick up eggs there. Listen, so let's. I know you talked about this and that, but what are the plans for Sunset Place? What's in the vision? Okay, of the future for Sunset Place, because there's a lot of rumors. People are talking about hotels, retail.
No, there's no reason. Let's get to the facts. So it's going to be mixed use. I mean, it's a mixed use community with more heavily residential.
Okay.
Historically, it's been strictly commercial. So, look, here's where we're at. For the first time in a decade, the city's out of the way. Right? We are not the barrier to progress. We were the barrier to progress. We're behind Coconut Grove for that reason. Right? We delayed the approvals for that project in its last iteration, and the result has been just more vacancy, right? More deterioration, less energy in the downtown. So we very aggressively worked with the developer to approve a suite of zoning regulations for them. The trade-off was reducing commercial development, which has a lot more traffic in peak hours, versus a mix of uses that overall reduce the total trips in a build-out scenario and provided more residential. Why residential? Because if we're going to have a successful district, we need people in it.
Yeah.
And we've not had enough people in it historically.
So apartments.
So up to 1,500 units. Whether that number will be built or not, I can't tell you, but that is the theoretical maximum they can build on the site. My understanding is they're going to start with a couple phases of condo on the south side, smaller buildings, okay. 2 stories of retail or service amenity products lines in terms of businesses. They are contemplating a hotel and multifamily phase. The hotel phase would be on 57th Avenue. What I've been pushing for with the hotel phase, if there is one, is I want conference facilities. Why?
That's a good one.
We've got down the street. There's no other hotel in that submarket with conference facilities. The Thesis is a nice product, but it's got no conference facilities. Right. I want to bring not just the transient business to support my food and beverage establishment to the district, but I want to bring that conference business because it brings a new business customer to the district that kind of rounds out the weekend activity that we have right now. And then the last part, I want to do multifamily and office, and we'll see what happens with those phases. But it's a 10-acre project. It's probably, at the end of the day, $2 billion of development. Yeah. That's not easy to do. I tell people it'll probably be 5 years before we can enjoy something. In terms of what we're working on with them right now, we just approved a resolution of support for a taxing district for them to build out the infrastructure. And we're working with Commissioner Regalado and the county on recreating our CRA to address some infrastructure needs for the district. I want to improve the transit station. We want to upgrade the water and sewer to support the residential development. And we want to support Sunset Place's revitalization and the financing of their infrastructure. So all of those things are kind of in the mix right now. I'm hopeful that by the end of the year, that district's approved and Sunset Place is in a position where they're really starting to break ground.
But are there like plans out right now?
Yeah.
To show renderings and
yeah, no. So they hired Thomas Heatherwick, which is a world-class designer. He's technically not an architect, but he's got an architecture firm out of London. They're working. They've worked on design. They've worked on, what we have been focused on is I don't want the deal to be retraded every so many years. So we told Mr. Vadilla and the team at Midtown Development that we want them to build out the infrastructure at the beginning, which is why we're going through this process with a CDD and CRA, so they can do that in one shot. And you and I, whether there's a phase built on it or not, can at least walk the sidewalks and enjoy the beginning of the district with some interim uses. Right, like they did at Midtown, right? And so you create some energy around that property because right now that's like a fortress.
So Javi, but this is already approved.
It's approved. We're working on all of it.
This is just working. Okay.
Yeah.
Breaking ground. When?
Right.
Man, I'd love to tell you that I had a precise number. My best guess is 2 years before they're really because you got to go through permitting and then design permitting.
Yes.
And then get the financing in place.
And the biggest issue that we see a lot is the traffic. You're bringing 1,500 units now. I've heard that you're going to do like a little walkway that leads into the metro rail, or is that true or not? Or?
Yeah, so there were plans for a bridge. Like many things before we came into office, we spent a lot of money in design and no plan to finance projects. So So yeah, it doesn't, which is why nothing gets built. Nothing gets built. So we took an aggressive step last November, and we asked the public for their trust. Frankly, and we said there's all these things we would like to do, but there's no point in even beginning to spend money on design unless you tell us you want to back it with dollars. So we got a $65 million bond issuance approved. So we have authority to get undertake that much debt. To put that in perspective, our operating budget is about $40 million. So for us, it's a pretty significant amount of money.
It is.
And, we're going to do it in phases. I wanted to look down the fairway and looking at our budget. We retire about $10 million of debt in October of 2026, or not $10 million of debt, $10 million of debt gets retired that allows us to leverage up to $10 million of debt, right? So we could borrow within our existing budget framework without raising a dollar of taxes. And so I said, look, that gives us 18 months to begin to plan improvements. So we're working on a Parks Master Plan, plans for Palmer Park, which is what neighborhood improvement we've already done in South Miami Park. If you've not been out there, I invite you to come out there. It's been transformed. We're working on redesigning our downtown streetscape, which is 30 years old, hasn't been touched in all that time. It needs a refresh. So working on that with Sunset Place and all the downtown stakeholders. All of that planning and design work is happening now. So when we get to October of 2026, I can have permit-ready drawings and then draw the money down to begin putting those things in place.
I think another thing that I heard in the comments was the AMC Theater.
Yeah.
I think, was it true that they're the only ones fighting to keep Sunset Place alive? Because they don't want their lease to be removed.
So look, I will tell you that I did not appreciate the importance of AMC as a draw. South Miami has regional cachet because they draw 1.25 million customers a year still. Yeah. Okay, in its current condition. And so it's the second most successful theater in their chain in Florida.
That's what I heard.
And
as
it is right now.
Yeah.
So they draw more fans than the Marlins. They put more patrons and seats than the Marlins do. Okay,
unfortunately
for the Marlins. Yeah, no diss on the Marlins.
No.
But it's just
that's the fans.
It's just to highlight how many people they bring there, and people come from as far as Miami Gardens to go to movies there when there's a big blockbuster. So I think everyone, including the project sponsor, wants to keep the theater. The problem with the theater, the way it's built right now, is it's basically a U, the southern part of the site, and it's what creates this basically enclosed effect to the mall, right?
Yeah.
And we want to reconnect that property to the rest of the town center, so it feels like it's organically part of downtown South Miami. That's not been the case either under the Bakery Center or under the current version. So yes, the movie theater, I think we all want to keep it. How it gets reincorporated to the project. Is the trick, and they want to be there. The developer wants to have them there. I certainly want them there. Okay. So I think they'll be there. Will they be at 26 screens? I don't know. Yeah. But where exactly? We'll figure it out. There may be a period where they're not there, but I think the point is to bring them back. And we want to not only have the theater, but Area Stage is a tenant in that building right now. Fantastic arts program. We've got a legacy program in Thomas Armour Ballet that serves people all over Dade County, 9 programs across the county as well. We want to anchor those, hopefully, if not at Sunset Place, somewhere else in our town center as well, because these are regional draws. They kind of, again, like I said, we want to have tentacles all over Dade County as a community.
The charm, it's just the charm of South Miami and that area. One point I want to bring back is the restaurants. You said something that's, I've always thought about it. The whole area that South Miami caters to. Some of those people would love to have even better restaurants in that area, because you don't want to drive, even though Coral Gables is a little ways down or whatever, but you don't want to drive all the way to Coral Gables. Or, you don't want to go all the way down. You
got to drive past us to get to those places. That's what I'm saying. We want you to stop in. Absolutely.
So I just, it's incredible because a lot of people that have tried restaurants, unfortunately, they've closed down.
Yeah.
And I always,
including some friends of mine, yeah.
And I always say, what the hell happens? Because it's just, South Miami is the great, to Jeff's point, when we spoke last time, it's an
not
area.
all of them. Not all of them. Some are doing good.
Right. There's some of them that are great. That,
Sports Grill's there. I know them very well.
I can tell you, you got Akashi, all these places, little. But Fiona's not closing. Fiona's just remodifying. But, they're really Coral Gables.
It's okay. We'll take credit for it, too.
Yeah,
no offense to Vince.
No, he'll scream at us.
No, exactly.
What are you talking about? Viola's ours. But anyway, it's right there. You really consider that South Miami. But again, I'm all for that. I'm for the fact that South Miami does need to help bring those restaurants. So all those people from the Grove, from that, all of Oak Cutler, that come there and they stare. By the way, I have shout out. There's a great person that's going now to South Miami. And
Dover?
Yes. I mean,
Thursday.
that is
Secreto.
that we will be there, brother.
Yeah,
I tell you
there.
that big shout out.
I think
for him.
our best endorsement of what we're trying to do to help
Yeah.
these places is he's a great example,
Yeah.
right? Which is, he closed down and permitted pretty late, but we pushed him through the process really quickly. We're trying to be a partner to these facilities now
100%.
because, we've always kind of left them to their own devices, and we know that you need a cluster of good restaurants so that success breeds success. And so, look, I'm happy to tell you we've had some longtime staples like Old Lisbon.
Staple.
Whisk is in the unincorporated
Whisk is-
part, but
yep.
these are our mainstays. Pasta Mia, if you haven't been there, small little pocket restaurant.
Yes.
I mean, homemade stuff, fantastic. But we've also seen restaurants at the next level. So Mano Libero, if you've not been there, it's a new concept that came and replaced Mosaico.
Okay.
So Mauricio Farinelli sold to a new chef there.
Listen, for Mano, the best one is La Pizza. I love La Pizza.
Well, La Pizza's excellent too.
Pizza's
But
great.
you got to go
People.
try Mano Libero. Take your wife there.
Yeah.
It's a home run place to go eat. Secreto coming in, Grape Ape, fantastic concept. It's brilliance. It's in its simplicity, and it's homey. It feels like South Miami. The guys of Vice City Pizza are coming in as well.
Wow.
Kind of transforming. So I think our goal.
We have
George Ramos.
and we have this guy also.
Yeah, Barbello. Yeah, so Barbella's
Barbella already recently.
Barbella's converting to Vice City there. I think they want it.
He knows,
He's killing it there. He's doing a great job.
I think he's
still waiting for
we got a lot of talented people that are coming to South Miami. I would love to have Apocalypse because I'll tell you,
Jeff,
all the spillover, that they can't accommodate. Love to have them there because and we'll work on the smoker issue. I know that's a problem for a lot of places.
Yeah,
we'll work it out. We used to, South Miami used to smell like Wholesome Bakery. I'd be happy if it smelled like Apocalypse Barbecue.
So true.
Okay,
that's so true.
So that's okay. We can make it work.
So true. South Miami, you would pass by and always smell the bread.
Yeah,
so true.
Wow. I can smell the barbecue.
You just threw me back.
Yeah.
I have a question.
That shows the age.
And this is just out of just an inquisitive one.
The thing that make you go,
No, I want to really understand from your perspective that you're obviously the mayor. Where do you think, forget about everything else.
Yeah.
Where do you think Sunset Place went wrong? Like, when did it start going down? Because was it your umbrella? Was it Nike leaving? Like, what was, if you can give me some history on like when you saw, okay, there's a problem here and people are starting to leave.
Well,
look, man, I think what's been successful in South Miami is I think the question you start with. And if you look, it's got a lot of small boutiques, right, that have very niche products that are things you can't find anywhere else, right? You go to Ease on Sunset, your wife is going to go there and shop. She's not going to find that stuff anywhere else, right? And so I think where Sunset Place went wrong is it became Everywhere America, right? It became everything you could find at Dayland, you could find there, right? Then Merrick Park gets developed around the same time. You've got two sub-regional malls competing with each other, one in a more affluent area, one in a less affluent area,
100%.
against one that's very well established. And I don't think it's a mystery as to why it failed, right? There's nothing unique there. And so I think as we are curating this new project, what the developer's thinking is, what can I bring that complements the character of South Miami, and that it's niche, right? It'll tap into a local market. The things that do best in our community are like the complex gyms of the world, right? That serve a clientele that want a unique, curated, bespoke experience, right?
Reese.
They do a great job.
Are they a Miami team?
Oh, listen, you
So,
have
for Coastside.
South Miami is
and
known.
fitness as well. Just on at Plaza 57. Those are the people that have success because they've identified a smaller niche market. They're not trying to mass media, right? Mass market, excuse me.
And I'm going to add to that because I think that one of the things also is that those boutique stores, they're selling online. So a lot of those people started getting, online, that stuff that you can buy that you don't have to go. They're saving on rent, stuff
or
like
they're
that.
or they're keeping their operating costs low because a lot of it's 100% appointment business.
Yes.
So these, there's folks that they show up and they've got customers that come in.
Yeah.
And to your point, that's it.
Like,
South Miami has a lot of boutique stores, and then to compete also with, and look, listen, hey,
but he said it's true.
Dayland all of a sudden, Dayland has moment that it went down. Dayland now again is picking up because they really revamped with the store
your
doors.
wings.
And long term, Dayland has to become its own community. Right?
Correct.
As a mall,
That's a good
it
point.
can't subsist just as a regional mall any
Yes.
longer. You saw the hotel they've added.
Yes.
That adds some energy. I suspect that the east side, I would expect it would, it'll get redeveloped at some point.
Yes.
As those leases for Firestone and whatnot retire, you'll bring in some housing to complement, because everything has to become a lifestyle center.
100%. And you gotta keep up with the times. You gotta keep up with the times. And I.
By the way, I want to, if I can put a shout out, we have a
Yes.
new business in South Miami called Tweeds. Talk about a bespoke, custom. If you want a custom made suit or jacket or shirt, check it out. It's not for the faint of heart. It is pricey, but they do some really, really amazing
That's for
stuff.
Manny then.
Yeah, that's for Manny, exactly.
Listen, so there's a staple.
Just look at the Pinto over there.
There's a staple in South Miami that everybody knows, and I'm just curious to know how they continue to be there. I guess, is the BTs.
Oh,
Gentlemen's Club.
wow! You hit on
Listen, right on US 1,
Yeah.
I'm young, I'm going in there. You never really see, you don't understand that. But as you get older, you're like, well, that's a gentleman's club.
Well, you could call it. My son keeps on asking, "What does that stand for?"
Exactly, that's what I'm
and
saying.
every day I pass by, I have to change the initials for that.
So that is
something
How long have
bread.
they been there for?
They've been there since the early 2000s.
Yeah, but I think they're leaving.
So yeah,
All right.
I'll give you. So yeah, they're looking to relocate. BT's. I've met with the ownership. They, for the most part, really run a very clean business. In terms of it doesn't generate. You think it would be the largest generated
Yes,
police calls?
yeah.
It's not. The largest generated police calls is a hotel, the Roadway Inn, in the city, which is our biggest problem, frankly.
Wow.
So the owners of that club chain, they own a couple. They've told me, we've met, and they said, look, this is our most successful one. It's our easiest to operate because of the clientele that goes there. It's a little bit, upscale compared to a lot of their other locations.
It's
But-
upscale gentlemen to the BT.
But, and again, I don't have anything against the business or the use. I just prefer not to be.
Yeah,
Right.
Entrance of
that's
my
what I'm
city.
saying. It's right in the
So-
entrance.
Nobody wants the
So-
elephant in the room.
So
their area.
I guess the good news, if you feel that way, is that Avalon Bay, that's building the project across the old Winn-Dixie site, across from Casa Cuba, has had such a good experience that they've doubled down on South Miami, and so they're going to build a second phase, and they've acquired the triangle that includes BT's, Sunset Tavern, Deli Lane, and Einstein's,
I was there today.
and they're going to build a new building to complement it. So they'll have sister buildings across the street from each other because they're very bullish on the market, and we're going to be able to keep Sunset Tavern and Deli Lane. I talked to the Amster family
just there today?
representative.
There's morning for BNI.
Yeah, it's a fantastic place. It is the fabric
Deli
of
Lane
South
is
Miami.
great. Yeah.
And so they're going to move into the historic buildings right on the corner of US 1 and Sunset.
Yeah.
Because I spoke to my vision for South Miami, the money shot that I want to see is the old and the new, right? Which is the old is the historic scale Main Street, that is
Correct.
Sunset Drive.
Keep it going. Yeah.
Juxtaposed against what'll be more height, more growth in the rest of the town center to support the transit, which is the Metro Rail station. So, we're working on that. I'm excited. They just put in a site plan request for approval 2 weeks ago,
Okay.
and so hopefully we'll have that. Hopefully that'll break ground. It may break ground faster than Sunset Place, just given where they're at.
No, let me
already.
tell you that Avalon's gone up fast.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm there every day. My daughter dances there, so imagine.
is out.
So
eventually.
BT's is out. I think they're looking for a new home in South Miami, and we'll see. We'll see
Yeah,
what
let them
happens.
do their thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have
we'll
no
see what
idea
happens.
some business either, but I was just
No, no.
curious.
Yeah.
Since I was little, I was
Right.
I've never gone inside.
It probably won't be. It probably won't be.
I can't say that. It
special
was a long time
Neither
ago.
can I.
It was a long
Anyway.
time ago. Yeah. It was a long
So,
time ago.
I mean, if we keep it real, we're
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. Here you
we
go.
can't keep that
Listen,
face.
He's got a good poker face, though.
No, so I think I was gonna ask you another question that just popped in my head. Do you guys ever have like South Coral Gables does a good job of bringing the community together?
Yeah.
They do like these like the burger festivals in the streets. They block
Sure.
out the streets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you guys do? I know you guys do the wings with the Wings for Wishes or
No,
Make a Wish for Wings. I
I don't know
you
the
do
way
with
that.
South, you do with they close down the streets there. Do you guys have like a South Miami festival or anything like that you guys do or?
So we do a lot of different events, and ours are a lot more hometown feeling, I would say, than the Gables. They're a lot more
Wait,
intimate.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Ask that question, but say what events do you do in South Miami then? Because that was all over the place.
That one. Well, what other events do you do, Mayor, in South Miami? Like the farmers market.
Yeah. So we have a bunch of signature events,
Yeah.
right? So I think one of them is our 4th of July event, which we do every year. We've been hosting at Palmer Park. It's a fantastic, very intimate event. Probably last year we probably had a couple thousand people there easily. Music, food trucks, and then a very nice fireworks display for a city of our size. We do the Elves Parade annually, which is underwritten by United Community Bank, formerly South Miami. First
I don't know. I thought
First
it was
National
South
Bank of South Miami. It's now
Right,
become
okay.
United Community
Yeah.
Bank. They've been a great corporate partner, and so that is a Christmas festival, Christmas parade that we run, and it's along the main street. It's a very intimate, very nice event, a lot of fun.
We do
So-
the car show. There's a huge
There's a
car
huge
show.
car show that we've brought back to South Miami. We do with the help of the Rotary Club, our own little arts festival. So we have a staple of events we run every year. A lot of them, I would say that we are very similar to West Miami in this regard, in that we are cities that want to grow, are growing, but are still trying to keep kind of our small town character. And so like West Miami, we do a lot of small neighborhood events. Right. We do our Easter event. It's Easter egg hunt, etc. All that stuff that kind of keeps the community together is very intimate and kind of keeps that historic.
It's a little the little Hallmark movie.
Yeah, it's our
moment
Mayberry. It's our Mayberry moment.
of the area.
But there's nothing prettier than going down Sunset during the holidays, and you guys always put the lights up and everything.
Yeah.
I just wish that was like more extended.
And so
nicer.
we last year we spent some money on some stuff, and it got a lot of Instagram posts. And so now we're thinking about, we had this conversation, we do a workshop once a month to talk about strategic priorities. And we had a conversation about, how we're going to use our arts and public places money. And so can we start to do some stuff that's a bit more interactive with some of that cash to have kind of seasonal rotations? We'd love to do more stuff. Anybody has any ideas? We had got pretty far along with the Frost School of Music about doing some sort of a music festival event, series of events to kind of activate the town center.
Yeah.
I'd love to do, they've done this at Bayfront Park ages ago. I'd love to do like a open skate with a DJ.
That'd be nice.
Or, if you've been, I got a Bottle Rock for that music festival, the silent disco.
Yeah, little
Have a
80s,
fun silent
90s,
disco on the
little
street.
freestyle.
Let's do stuff like that engages people of all ages, and it's still family friendly, right?
The
100%.
for Halloween, though.
We do. We actually close Sunset Drive down. We have a huge Halloween trick-or-treating event, yeah.
You know what's crazy? When we talked about Coconut Grove, everyone complained that they shut down that whole big Halloween event. So
Because a lot of people you go for Halloween.
It's for a lot of the businesses, it's not their customers.
It's not. Right.
And so, I recognize it's an imposition on them during a part of the year that's probably their most important for sales. So, but it's part of our tradition. We've been doing it for forever.
But would you like that flow of people to go down to South Miami and for Halloween?
Well, they're there. So, the question is, I'd love to figure out how we can get that flow of people they spend money in our restaurants that night.
Yes.
So if you ask,
Because a lot of people stay and have dinner while the kids are
correct.
just
So go have
walking
pizza.
around.
So the guys like Kraft, which is a new addition. It's also on Geralda here in Coral Gables. Does really well those nights. Spree does really well when you have those events. But the boutiques that I mentioned that are more bespoke, it's not really their customer.
Yeah.
So there's that tension. So we try to keep the street closed as short as possible, just to have the event, open it up, and kind of clear it out as quickly as we can. Yeah.
Those are good.
That's a good one.
Now, I'm going to get back to another thing that just, as Eddie said, just when I was talking today to some people. What is your vision on, I know this is a tough one, on the garbage situation?
Oh, you don't like the pits, right?
Well,
No.
wait. I'm okay with, again, I'm not South Miami, but I see it. But I'm okay
By
with
the way, why
pits.
aren't you South Miami?
No. We'll talk about that later.
that's
No.
He gets that question from
no,
Mayor.
because then we have to talk about the music situation. That would be another one.
A music situation.
Yeah, no, the sound, the music.
Oh,
I'm a music guy. No,
music at night?
no. We have to change that.
What's
No, music. Everybody with their music. Yeah, at 2:00. That's another issue.
Okay.
Garbage.
So
Let's get to the argument.
wait, but they call the police too early?
Too early.
Gotcha.
South Miami, a lot of people, like to have their music on at 2 or 3 or
music
4, and
ordinance.
then
What's
we
it
got to
for?
change. They got to change the music.
Manny's gotten old on us here, I think.
You got to change the music, or you got to change the.
But
music
I think he wants it longer. No,
Oh, you want longer? Okay. I was to say.
No
Okay.
longer. No, that's why I'm happy.
I was surprised.
No, because I
But why?
My house
what
is an
age it was?
entertaining
Is it
house.
midnight or something like that?
No, not even.
No,
Not even.
That's a little bit. It's a little bit. It's probably. I don't know.
It's a tough one.
We just changed it actually. So
Did you?
We did.
I don't know
We
what
just
it
changed
is.
the way we enforce it. So
Okay.
we'll
Because there was a lot of
give you an
stuff,
update.
a lot of complaint because I know because of the area of people in South Miami.
There
Kids
is.
after
You
school.
you live right near Gus Gill, right?
Well, Gus is Gus.
Yeah. So there's one neighbor.
Oh no, but we're not going to mention that
Yes,
person.
okay, no.
That person would no
Not
way.
drinking water.
That's non grata.
Why not?
No, because we can't do that.
I don't want to get sued. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but and he's an attorney, so he knows what I'm talking about. At the end of the day, but listen, with all due
Now
respect,
I know what you're talking about.
No, but not because of me. That whole area.
No, I understand.
That whole area.
He wants to clarify. It's not because
That whole area. But again, I think it should be. I think that they should be under like the county ordinance. That by a certain time, 10, 30, or 11, you have to shut down or lower the things. I know that South Miami has a very strict force in that, but let's stick to the garbage right now.
Okay.
Because that's important.
Let's talk about garbage.
Because I know that happens also with the Gables. And I know that you and Vince have tried to work on that, simultaneously
But what's
together.
the situation?
So South Miami has what they call he can explain it, he's the mayor, but I mean the garbage pits. But what upsets a lot of people, and I see it, is it's awesome because you can take out certain garbage that you can't put in your
Oh, the little
trash
pits
bin.
on the side of the road?
Or inside of your house. You can put maybe like, a sofa or something that you want to throw away. South Miami comes every Wednesday and they pick it up. But what happens is, and I see it because, again, I walk every morning and I see this through all the areas. Wednesday comes pickup. Thursday morning, you have 20 other gardeners that are coming from other areas and not throwing garbage on the garbage people, or on the gardeners, but they come from other houses.
Yeah, they just drop it.
And they're dumping it there because they're saving money and not taking it, and they're
Correct.
paying the
Yeah.
fees to the dump. So then what's upsetting is now, you have these beautiful homes and then that garbage pit, and then all of a sudden now it's clean on Wednesday. Thursday morning, wake up, those guys already came at 5 o'clock in the morning and they dumped the whole thing of everything, of every mulch, every tree, everything that they dump in there. So I don't know. Could it be something that, that you can say, all right, listen, Wednesday comes pick up, you can only throw out. And that's the other thing. I don't understand some people either. And again, that's just me. I know some people are going to hate this, but why would you throw? I walked today in the morning, go down these streets and I see all this stuff of just black trash bags thrown in the pit that the people just
the doggy poop.
Not even the doggy poop, but everything else. I mean, and then they're just throwing stuff there already on Thursday morning to leave it there all the way to next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Could it be something that say, listen, you can only throw already, on Tuesday morning or Tuesday afternoon to pick up Wednesday, and that's it.
So technically, you're supposed to put stuff out the day before pick up. So we different parts of the city, it goes earlier. The green waste, vegetative waste, you're allowed to put it out the whole week. So, but inevitably you create a trash pit, it invites trash.
Yeah.
So look, we have an enforcement issue. It's in your area, it's not that bad. Parts north, it gets worse because if you look at our service map, the northern part of the city is a mess. Like I've got one house on one block that's in the city. The rest of the block is in Incorporated County. To give you the worst example. So between Miller and Bird Road, our service map gets really spotty. So the issue becomes more pronounced, more difficult to enforce. And so part of it is code enforcement. I think we have the right rules in place on enforcement.
Gotcha.
But we don't have the enforcement tools
it's not enforced
to manage it, right?
Yeah.
And so the question is, should we do it? Is there a better way to do it? So we are thinking about, because we do want to annex some areas, and this is for people that have more affluent parts of the areas that we would think about annexing, a very pressing issue. Can we offer the service as more an on-demand service? Right? Not everybody needs it every week. Not everybody needs it, but people need it more frequently than the 2 times a year Miami-Dade County will do it. Right? And so we're a small service in a footprint that we can invite people to say, hey, look, guy comes out, we can schedule the pickup and have a crew assigned to it. So we just hired a new public works director. It's on his order of things to look at. In the meantime, we're really focused on trash, is trying to manage our own costs, because with what's happening at the county and a possible new incinerator facility, we got to go further, right? Which means we need to add fleet and personnel to service the same volume. So all of that is kind of being analyzed. We've been working very aggressively with the county to get are interlocal modified, so we actually have one of the few municipally owned parcels on a rail line. So you've talked about trash to rail.
Mm-hmm.
We've been at the forefront of that conversation, and possibly creating a transfer facility where you could move our trash onto rail with a P3 and more beyond what it could earn us in rent, which is important. Really, over the long term, manage our cost profile. So we're not transporting trash very far outside our city, which gives us more flexibility to do some of the things you're talking about, because we're not adding resources to do what we're already doing, but we can actually innovate and do new things if we want to allocate new resources.
Okay.
Incredible how complex these things are, and people just think it's just big.
Yeah, I know it is.
it's
And by the way, the hardest part is getting people used to something new, because, a lot of people, it's part of their common behavior. And, and we, unlike Coral Gables or some other cities, we do not charge a trash fee. We carry it as part of our budget. So you don't see the additional $650 on your tax bill. It's just part of our operation.
A lot of people don't know that, right?
And so so it's a big differentiator. But it invites some challenges in that people are used to getting the service, and it's hard to take it away.
Yeah,
I mean, but to that point, it's what you just said. I mean, you're talking about not everybody's the same. So you wish all your neighbors would be civil in the sense of not throwing away a whole dining room set in the middle of the
week,
yard,
yeah.
On a Tuesday, and you're driving or you're walking, and what the heck is this?
Yeah.
Luckily, I'm going to tell you, we have this guy that passes by the area, him and two older gentlemen, their pickup truck. All those guys.
Oh yeah, they pick up. Yeah, they're scavengers. Yeah,
they're scavengers, but they're great because they make money off that.
Yo recojo escombro.
Well, no, whatever. The guy, let me tell you, I see him every Thursday. What does it say today? Wednesday. I see him today. I see him every day already. Today's Tuesday. I see him every Wednesday already by the afternoon with the two pickups. I see
making the rounds.
I see a couch. I see this. I go, wow, he's good. He picked up some stuff.
One man's trash is another man's treasure, right?
So maybe we should go and sub some of those guys out there. That's not bad. That's not bad.
I had a question regarding the Underline.
Yeah.
If you have like an update for us on how far is it going to go all the way through? Is it going to pass Sunset?
Yeah, so
we're
going to get we have a full mile of it in our city. It's all under development right now. We had a groundbreaking, although the ground was broken on Saturday with the Underline team.
Right.
Unlike a lot of our other cities, we did not contribute to the improvements. What we're doing instead is we're kind of trying to be a leader on the maintenance side. So we've made a commitment around our contribution annually to the maintenance of the mile in our city. We're having a discussion right now about buying a piece of property that would be a park on the Underline on 80th Street. And kind of the big project I'm working on, when I realized that I didn't control the timeline on Sunset Place, what else could I do to kind of help add some energy to the downtown, is our City Hall redevelopment. And so if you've been to our City Hall, it's really nothing to write home about. Older building. We've got a wonderful park on the west side of it that's 30,000 square feet that nobody knows is there and nobody uses.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's very frustrating because it's a beautiful green space, but it's not activated. So my vision, and we're working on this right now with a private development partner that we went through a procurement for, is to move that 30,000 square foot park onto the Underline. So Saturday we inaugurated a children's play forest that's going to be right next to the library. And so I want to kind of co-locate that play forest and this 30,000 square foot park, bookend it with retail, so we can actually have maybe I might love to have a beer garden, right, that spills over onto that yard on one side, and then have this really neat amenity for kids. We're going to redo the library, and then I'd love to have the most kick-ass children's reading room in the county on the ground floor by that play forest, so kids want to come in and out. They can get engaged mentally, they can get engaged physically to kind of, develop their full self.
How is the library doing, Mayor? How's that library doing?
It's busy. Libraries are evolving in their service mission. We have a lot of traffic there. People use it for private tutoring. They use it as a book depository.
One of the oldest libraries.
It's from the 50s.
Yeah.
And then a lot of it is, it becomes a place where people come find resources. Mm-hmm. So we've had a conversation with a district about whether they need exactly the same kind of facility or whether we can kind of share facilities. So what we're going to do in our current plan is basically build them into the ground floor of our new city hall. And so that way they're part of our operation. We can share some conference room space, minimize the footprint and costs, and get them the best of resources. They can have media rooms and a lot of the other stuff that they have in more modern facilities that we don't have.
Okay. Okay.
Regarding the Underline, do you know in that mile what type of amenities are going to be? Is it going to be like
basketball
courts, just biking, or?
So we don't have a lot of play areas other than the children's play forest in our area. So mostly it's going to be linear bike path and landscaping. That play forest, just on the east side of 57th and the Gables side, they are talking about a skate park and maybe some court activations. We've got a much wider right away there. So that we hopefully will have some amenities on that side.
That's going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
Supposedly the Underline is going to connect all the way by like Freedom Park or like the bridge and all that stuff.
Yeah,
because it's we're all underneath the whole Metro Rail.
Yeah.
So it's like you're walking, wherever the Metro Rail is.
Yeah, and then if the Ludlam Trail, which is called Downtown Bypass, which is by his house, is another
point. Be easy on that one.
Another potential connection point.
Yeah, I heard they're trying to read.
Manny, you're nervous about it?
I heard.
Well, all I'm saying is that I in all the meetings that I was, there's certain areas, the residential area has to stay residential area.
No, for sure. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, because at least nothing has happened there. I mean, God knows that we've been through this, which I haven't even touched that subject because that was in Commissioner Sosa was there, and I know she secured funds, and then Kevin did a great job, but then Kevin left to Panama. So now we have, Natalie there. So it's just it's all these things were done, all these different designs and everything else, but nothing's really ever started.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's hard to do two projects that scale the same.
Because that is under the county, right? Because
it is under
the county purchased.
County purchased the right away. Yeah,
correct.
Yeah, so I think right now the focus and the energy has been on the Underline. Hopefully when that gets wrapped up, people will shift the focus. And I look at it like I spent a lot of time in Denver, and on occasion we'd rent a home just outside of downtown Denver. And one of the cool things about Denver is all their old water conveying canals became, basically paths, as you get right into downtown Denver from the suburbs on a bike path or run in, and they connect. And they connect parks. And I think that's the opportunity we have there potentially.
I'm okay with that. When I was in all the different planning sessions there, that was taken to Public Works, was taken to the Dade County Commission, approved. I mean, all that area, keep the residential area green, as it is, just walking and just pure walking and running, and treat that like, and I even suggest there should be, little taxing district that they should have South Miami monitor that whole thing. I think it should be under the South Miami Police Department.
Okay.
That's just,
we'd be happy to do it.
That's just my suggestion, what I'm saying, to the county.
When we annex you into the
I heard they were trying to change the name of the Ludlam Trail. They're looking for a potential suitor for the name, or did they already do that?
I don't know. Is he gonna?
No.
Heyday marketing?
No. The Manny Alfonso Trail.
That was Kevin's idea, but that's not going to happen.
STL Trail.
Listen, there was also a whole bunch of stuff because there were people riding in that area that don't even live around that area. They're coming from I don't know where, So there's, listen, you just want to keep that area flowing.
It's a beautiful area.
Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to keep that area as a place where, not for anything, but that you have a homeless issue then start creating where people can just, now, sit down and go to sleep. You don't want that. Even though I'm for the fact of, listen, that's right behind my yard. I can open it.
Yeah,
my gate, walk out, and I can walk from there all the way to 57th, all the way to Blue Lagoon.
You can walk to the airport.
Well, I mean,
that'd be crazy.
The idea situation was, I don't know if that's
airport to the river.
Yeah,
I know.
The Blue Lagoon area was going to do like little cafes and everything in the back by the again.
We'll see.
I don't know where
you and I will probably be long gone before that.
No, probably.
Hopefully not.
No.
The city moves too slow.
Yeah, well, but it's not. It's
complicated.
No, I know. But
it's a domino. You put this one, you put this one, and everything involves money.
Everything involves money.
And it's like who's gonna you got to go to Tallahassee, secure funds here. You got to secure. I mean, it's whoever doesn't understand this, it's complex. And then you got to deal with neighbors. So
neighbors are easy.
I mean, I could sit here and talk to you all day long.
No, listen.
I had a couple more, but
go ahead.
Go for it.
Why not? Shoot. It's the moment.
You see the videos online.
Okay.
The cyclists are a problem because there's no sidewalks, right? I've heard that these cyclists
with seats or without seats.
But hey,
with the seats. But I've heard El Caballo.
No.
El Caballo told me
just with Caballo and Javi. So go ahead and see what we're gonna get there.
Caballo told me that apparently, like, the police force doesn't even want to deal with them anymore because these cyclists are all paid attorneys and accountants, etc. With these $15,000 bikes, and that if the police enforce them, I'm saying, hey, you can't be on the road. They go and they sue the city and stuff like that. Is that
wait,
true?
Before Javi says that, can I tell you something? Those cyclists can't be on a sidewalk because you
They go too fast. Yeah.
the thing of the sidewalk, is
I
like
agree
this,
with
and
you.
then you have all the
A little bump
you have
too
all
on the
the
sidewalk.
FPL posts and all that bunch of stuff. Which, by the way, I had to talk about that. But you have all that stuff, and then all I'm saying is you have to continue. I mean, the cyclists are going to be there.
That's it. We got to live with them.
The cyclists are going to be there.
Look, man, I think there's and I enjoy all his videos, by the way. I think they're absolutely hilarious, and I share the sentiment, particularly when it's go down Old Cutler on a weekend, right? That's always.
And you're like this,
And you're like, and I have friends. I have
You
friends.
put
that
a
cycle.
video of some lady almost crashing the other day.
But the truth is, you're right. They got to be on the street, and there's no way around it. And the question is, do we want to be thoughtful and try to build segregated facilities, right? And so for example, right now there's a project. Unfortunately, the governor vetoed it, which was to extend the trail in Pinecrest from Kendall down by Wayside Market all the way down to. We were going to extend that to the Underline, and we had funding. Shout out to Alexis Galata, who got us about $800,000 in the budget to start those improvements. And unfortunately, they got vetoed. But that was we're talking about.
Why is these projects getting vetoed?
There is a shit load of stuff getting vetoed in Tallahassee.
Anyhow, so the point, the opportunities, and we're talking about this with Sunset Place right now. Is rebuild 57th Avenue. Do we build in a dedicated bike lane that's segregated from the traffic? So they've got to ride on the segregated lane, which is good for them. It's good for the motorists. So there's no conflicts. But those are the kind of commitments you got to make.
I'm all for that. Let me tell you, because if the problem's there,
some neighbors don't like it. I mean, I'll give you
it.
Perfect example: 64th Street in South Miami, from Red Road to 62nd. They built a segregated bike lane as a connector to the future Ludlam Trail, and they're thinking about extending it. And it takes away out-street parking in some neighborhoods, and it pisses off some people.
Yeah.
That's just the reality. So. There's not a good solution here.
Yeah. Cyclists are here to stay.
I mean, okay, so
they're not going anywhere, man. They're not going anywhere.
I mean, we just, but
nor should they.
What sucks is that really one has to really be intuitive when you're driving, especially all these kids of ours that are driving now, and the whole thing. I mean, they're there. Those cyclists are right next to the car. You're driving, and it's crazy.
It won't be a problem in 5 years when we have automated cars, so it's okay.
That's a good point too.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
We got to figure that one out. On another one, on that whole area.
Fingers coming.
You know what?
I'm nervous.
I gotta get. I've been meaning to get. I gotta get Addis into this in this program because
Alice Bravo.
No,
Alice.
Addis Carrillo.
Alice Carrillo, sorry.
Addis.
You said Alice.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Great people.
Yeah.
And her husband too. But I remember before COVID hit, we got a letter. And it said that FPL was looking into the fact of starting to, do burial.
Yeah.
Start burying everything around.
Has it happened in your neighborhood?
No, on the contrary. Now I have
come to South Miami. You should live in South Miami. It's done already.
No. South Miami has that whole sunset, all those posts, by Vos and everything. I mean, now they're putting all these new posts up there with all plywood of 2x4s with all these new cables.
They've.
I don't know if that's FPL or that's.
I don't know if it's FPL. They've undergrounded most of the lines in the city. So if you drive around South Miami, I think my neighborhood was the last one to get done. Is you'll see now the transformer boxes you see in the suburbs, right? Small boxes,
the green ones.
Yeah, all the lines have been taken underground.
Hurricane situation.
Yeah, no, from reliability, and so that's happening. In downtown South Miami, or Somi District, we still have a lot more work to do because there are too many airlines. We have some issues on 62nd Avenue. We've got a long transmission line that comes from the south, and we're trying to work on improving that intersection. And there's a huge transformer line that is an impediment to creating some right turn, dedicated right turn access, et cetera. So we've got our issues but FPL for the most part has been a pretty good partner. We call them; they're responsive. They're working on some order of magnitude cost works for some of these projects.
Okay.
But, I thought we'd be the last to get underground service given our history with that utility. The city's had a very combative relationship with them. We've actually been put to the front of the line. And I think most of our neighborhoods, with the exception of mine, which is down by Dante Fissel Park, had the undergrounding complete.
Already done.
Wow.
Yeah.
And keeping on service, where are we with the fact of, what do you think about for the sewer?
For the sewer, man.
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
any progress on?
So we got $2 million
that get vetoed.
in the.
That's
by the way, so it did and it didn't. So we 2017 we did a master plan for septic to sewer conversion. Like I said before, we designed the whole basin, which is my neighborhood, and then we had no money to execute it.
To execute it.
So when I realized that, and we were planning to build a new tennis center at Dante Fossell and put it on septic. I said, hell no. And luckily, I have some relationship with Tallahassee. We got $2 million to start our first septic to sewer conversion. We've done 50 homes. We're right now building the well. This is in the area right near Dante from 87th to 85th Street, east of 62nd Avenue to the park. I will tell you that it is a nightmare project.
Wow.
In some ways, particularly we have a force main. My street had the force main return. Very messy, very disruptive in many ways, but a needed improvement in my neighborhood because the water level off of the canal is rising. The Snapper Creek Canal is rising, and some septic systems are getting compromised. So we are at the tail end of that project, God willing, in terms of building the lines out. We're just finishing the pump station. Hopefully, by the end of this year, I'll have 50 homes that have been converted.
That'll be.
I will tell you, from a city's perspective, it makes no sense financially to put our own money in because I build it and I turn it over to Miami-Dade County,
Correct.
and they get all the future revenue.
They get
from
the
it.
revenue. Correct. Yeah.
So, if I can go to Tallahassee and get money, substantial matching dollars, which we've been doing,
Okay.
we're happy to do it.
Makes sense.
We did have one veto allocation, and here our U.S. rep, Maria Villasar, was great and got us some money. We got about $2.5 million from the feds as well for the next phase of that project. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Okay.
Last
So-
question, or
Go ahead. You that's your question.
okay,
But he's going to keep it to South Miami.
that's fine. Yeah.
That's fine.
That's
Keep
fine.
it to South Miami? Oh,
No.
Toughest question. The toughest question. All right.
This is his toughest question.
Your favorite restaurants.
Uh-oh.
Starting 3, 2, 1 in South Miami. Go with number 3.
3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm gonna
Your
say.
go-to places, I always say.
I'm gonna say, gosh, this is gonna get me in a lot of trouble.
No.
I'm gonna say today, right now, because some places haven't opened, some places have closed. I'm gonna say Pasta Mia. Number
Okay.
3.
Number 3.
Good.
Okay.
Okay. What do you like about them?
It's just quintessential South Miami. You go there and it's like
Can you imagine? I have not been there yet.
You walk in there. It's like they've known you your whole life. They're just delightful people. It's all homemade stuff.
Yeah.
And
check
it's a
it
tiny hole in the wall. You gotta check it out.
Number 2.
We've got a new one, a relatively new one. I'm gonna go with Jason's new spot, Grape Ape.
Okay.
Grape
What
Ape.
is,
That's-
what is it about?
So that is if you have been Happy Wine in the Grove,
Yeah, of course.
I think it's a better version of Happy
No
Wine.
way.
I'm forgetting the name of the guy who's the chef at Eating House in the Gables and Osteria Luca.
Yeah.
Giorgio
in Geraldo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
He is the executive chef there. The
Okay.
menu is
I know
excellent.
that.
The food is really affordable. If you're dining out a lot, you know what I mean now. And they've got a selection of wine that's unmatched. You kind of just go
Go
up,
check that one out.
you go up, check
Yeah.
it out.
He's a wine guy.
very
He's a
homey.
wine guy. He's a wine guy.
Yeah, not like our friend, not like our mayor in Coral Gables.
Number one.
And number one, just because it's an incredible experience, and they literally will make you a menu from scratch.
No way.
Yeah, Mano Olivera. You got to check it out.
Wow.
It's
You're the first
yeah,
one to mention that one.
Yeah.
yeah. That is the new
Again,
that is.
All in my backyard, and I haven't been.
We gotta go.
You got to go check
great.
it out. Take your wife there; she will love you for it. But we got so many great places. You want something casual. Obviously, Deli Lane for breakfast in the morning
Yeah.
is a staple. We're lucky to have the prior executive chef at town back at Kitchen 57 now. So
You know what I loved? The way that the
and then
city-
Subbies. I got to get a
Oh,
shout out to my
Subbies,
friend
yeah.
EJ.
Yeah.
Sure.
And if you want a
Yes.
quick lunch, a quick
Yeah,
good lunch,
good one.
you know,
That
EJ's
whole
your
area.
guy.
EJ's awesome.
Martinez there at Subbies.
Yeah, he's a good fan.
Yeah.
All that area is
Um,
good.
I loved how the city got behind Bougainvillias. Bougainvillias,
I just had a birthday there on Saturday.
yeah.
Yeah.
When they were about to close down and everyone came on and supporting them. That's nice. I have a lot of memories.
I love that
Nice
place.
at
We
that
don't.
place.
We need more places like Boogies.
Yeah.
We need a live art. If I
It's
can,
nice.
Yeah.
I have a live
band.
music, if I have a live music
Yeah,
venue
yeah,
like that, it's rare to have those in South Miami, particularly with that much character. And so, my wife and I just celebrated our 50th birthday there on
Yeah,
Saturday.
that's
so
a nice place.
it's a great spot.
It's a good one.
Mr. Mayor?
Mayor, thank
Guys,
you so
thank
much,
you so much for
brother.
the
I
opportunity.
appreciate it.
Nice to meet you guys.
Appreciate.
Thank you, Manny.